Oh, hey there, welcome back to Manotick StringWorks. So today on the workbench we have this Epiphone Acoustic guitar. Model is FT100VS if you're interested. And it's seen better days. A friend of mine brought it over, picked it up at a flea market or someone he knew, something like that. But look what happened there. Someone cut that off. Why? I actually had someone suggest in a comment to a short video I posted that maybe it didn't fit in their guitar case. So they cut the end off. That could very well be. That's not the only problem. Here's the other one. That's the problem. So there's been some crazy glue or something. Anyways, I'm going to scrape a little bit out of the way. So my friends asked me just to get this thing sort of in playing shape, so I'm not going to go crazy with it. I'll clean this up, get it glued back on, and let's see what we can do about this headstock. I don't know. Maybe glue a piece on that looks like the Epiphone or Gibson sort of book, the book match look there. We'll see. Of course, the most pressing issue is the bridge. And obviously, you need to do some work here to clean it up a little bit. Now, I've already cleaned up some of it. And I'll probably just sort of lightly, just with a chisel here, just try and knock down any sort of high spot. But interestingly, if we flip the bridge over, look at that. You can see where some of the veneer, or the top, it's not veneer, it's actual, looks like spruce, has come up. But look at all around. So there is no glue. It's a good 1/8 of an inch all around. So they only glued inside. So the edges were never in contact anyways. So did that cause it to come up? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, the guitar has been beat up. It's been played. It's been beat up. So, like I said, I'm just going to scrape away sort of any high spots. Try not to chip away too much stuff. And then we'll get this thing glued back together. I've already been scraping away quite a bit of this crazy glue. I think it's crazy glue because it's really brittle. Epoxy is a lot harder than that. So I'm just lightly going over the surface, barely touching it with the chisel. Again, this isn't a pristine guitar, so but my buddy, the owner, just wants to clean it up a little bit and then get this back on, get the bridge glued back on. But I've got to get rid of most of this. Like I said, I think it's super glue. And I want to make sure that this fits, like it slots back where it should go, which is good. Like you can tell where it goes, but I have to make sure that the bridge is actually touching wood on wood, not being held up by any of the schmutz that's there. Now, the back of the bridge has some wood on it, so I'm going to have to scrape and sand that flush too, right? Okay, well, this is going to take a little while, so I'll just get at it and try and be as careful as I can to not lift up any of the existing finish. Like you see right there, that wants to come up, but that might have to come up anyways. Okay, it's going to take a while. Now, it's pretty obvious by this straight line here that when they do this at the factory, they've got some sort of tape template or something that they use. And again, it's a little narrower than the bridge itself. So they do the finish, and then they have that tape on there. They pull the tape off, and then they glue the bridge on, which would overlap this polyurethane finish. So, yeah. Not the way I'd like to do it, but that's how Epiphone did it. Yeah, that'll go in. It seats nicely. I can feel it sit there nicely. So I'm kind of scared to try to pull this saddle out. I kind of feel like it's going to crumble on me. It's in there good. Oh, there we go. Okay, phew. Sometimes they just fall right apart. Okay, so whenever you take a saddle out that you're going to reuse, make sure to mark the front. I always do it at the bottom here, right? Just make a mark so you remember. I do have to scrape some of this off and, you know, just give it a good sanding. There's chunks of, I'm not going to do it here, but just to show you, there's chunks of crazy glue or something there. So I'll just go after that a little bit. It's so brittle that this comes off very easily. Hardly pushing the chisel. Again, I just wanted to show you, I'm not going to keep doing this on top of the guitar here, but it's very satisfying. You can see I'm not taking up any wood at all, right? It's just the glue. Alright, I'll get this on my workbench proper. Okay, well, so I've scraped and sanded all that gunk off the back, so the residue of the soundboard and the glue, and I've given it a good scuffing with some 80 grit, so it'll give it some teeth. Just have a little more cleaning up to do here on the soundboard, and it'll be ready to glue. Alright, it's always a good idea to be ready, so I've got my big C-clamps ready to get in there before I put the glue on. This can be a little tricky sometimes. And I've just recently done a video where I'm gluing my mandolin up, but always back out your clamps all the way. Seems to help. Okay, and I'm gonna need some leather cawls, so these will go down on the bridge, protect the bridge. What else do I need? Some water. I use Q-tips to clean up all around. So I'm going to give this a little brushing. Any dust bits off. And just a little rub to see if there's anything left there. No, I don't want to lift up anything. Okay. Also going to need 2 bridge pins. I'm going to use those to help locate the bridge. There we go. So that really, you know, helps locate it nicely, and then when I squeeze everything down, this shouldn't move. Then I'll pull them out once the clamps are tight in place. Alright, let's get going. I just like to use regular woodworking glue. This is Gorilla Glue. Nice and tacky, so things don't shift around as much, which I like. So I'm just going to put some on here, and I'll just use a little brush, just get that, make sure I've saturated this soundboard, little pieces, little chunks. You can see I'm just sort of going up to that line, it just pushes naturally up against that finish line. So anywhere I see exposed wood, now the bridge might not cover it because that could just be finish that's come off, but still going to just run it up to that. I don't want to dunk it down the holes. Usually do run a drill through the holes afterwards, right, just to clean it out. Okay. It's looking good. So again, I like to just make sure I have 100% coverage. The soundboard, good. This will help fill in any little gaps too that there might be. Now I'm going to paint on the back here of the bridge. Again, I've used 80 grit sandpaper on the back of the bridge, so hopefully that'll give it a little bit of tooth, a little bite. Okay. thing wants to skate around on me. There we go. I guess you could put too much glue. It just means you're going to have a lot more to clean up after. You have to put enough glue on, right? You really want the two surfaces to, you know, join up, bond together. This will be a better glue up, I'm sure, than the factory glue up was, so not too worried about that. But again, you know, make sure you cover every little part completely. Again, you can clean up the squeeze out. That's pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Just gonna cover put a little more on the soundboard here. It feels like it's soaking it up. So I'll apply a little bit more. You can see some areas that got pretty dry. Again, I'm not gonna worry too much about the holes. There's not a lot of glue seeping down, just a tiny, tiny bit on the edge there, but I will drill them out. All right. Again, just double checking that everything is covered. And again, like I mentioned earlier, this Gorilla Glue has a really high tack, so it doesn't slide around too much, which is nice. Okay, so just by eye, I'm going to position it. That feels good. I can feel it sort of sit right down. I'm going to use the bridge pins. I like to push them down all the way. Yeah, there's still a little wiggle, of course, but it's fine. It's just really to give them that position. Okay. Now we have to get our clamps in. And this guitar is by no means pristine, so I'm not going to worry too much about the finish here. And these clamps have pretty soft edges all around, and I think it was this one actually, I did sand it a little bit when I first got them. Okay, so I've learned it's best to put the three of them in there. So I'm going to put a call, so I want one over here. So I'm going to start. Now these might not clamp like straight, so I have to just, you know, keep an eye on them. I did feel a brace right in front of the bridge, so I might want to skew a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good actually. Get this one in the middle here. I'm just going to leave that one there for a second. I'm going to go over here. I'll put this one on. And move that up a bit, make sure it's on the leather. I'm trying to make sure it's on a flat spot. There we go. Whoa, do you see that? I hope you did. That's what we want. Let me come to this side here now. Squeeze this side down a little bit. Yeah, that's good. All right, let's do the middle. It's a bit tedious, you know, with the clamps, but there's really no other way to do that. Yeah, tight. Tight, 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 right, in these guitars like this. Yeah, this clamp's going to want to move it. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to squeeze this down until we get some glue coming out. Nice. Yeah, that all looks good. Yeah, I'm getting squeeze out all along. There's a little bit right there. It's all coming out now. And on the other side as well, so that's good. Okay. So that first glue squeeze out like this. So I'm gonna get everything tightened down. I'm gonna run the Q-tip along. That actually helps push some of that glue in that gap if there's any that's required a little bit. Come under there. And don't worry, this is, you know, water-based glue, right? So I like to use the Q-tip. It'll get most of it up. Don't want to make a huge mess. And just a paper towel with some water. Of course, that's glue. With some water this time. And that'll clean up perfectly. It's a good time to do this right now, because when it dries, if there's enough oil on the bridge, you can lemon oil or some finish. Sometimes it just chip right off, no problem. But always better to go at it now. Also, mind wetting the another Q-tip, a clean one this time, right? Just come back, get in there. I can see remnants from the last super glue glue up that really scarred this finish there. Okay, all right. Gonna get it off the front, then we'll let this sit. Now it's actually a good time if you give it another, just if you can, another little turn. You can see a little more come out. That's good. You don't want to squeeze it all out. Sometimes a piece of wood dowel too. See, that's chipped finish there. That's not glue anymore. It's that whole chip finish. Okay, let me clean up the front. All right, well, we are all glued up. We'll let this sit for, and that's finish. That's missing, not glue. We'll let this sit overnight. You can see gone through some Q-tips and water. So this guitar's got a few other issues. There's some really big divots here on the first, second, third, fourth frets. Certainly the first, second, and third. I don't know if it'll show as well on the camera. And of course we have this issue. But we'll have a look at this in the next video, so stay tuned.